Have you ever met someone who could sell almost anything, a car, an idea, or even a belief, and make it look effortless? What if I told you that this power is not magic but a learnable skill? This book reveals how the world's greatest salesman, Joe Girard, turned ordinary conversations into $2 million results. And once you understand his method, you will never look at selling or people the same way again. The big idea of this book is simple. People do not buy products, they buy people. Sales is not about pushing or convincing. It is about building genuine trust, showing integrity, and connecting emotionally. Joe Girard's philosophy teaches that every interaction is a chance to sell yourself, your honesty, your reliability, your energy, because once people like you, they will buy anything from you. So let us begin this journey chapter by chapter to uncover how to sell anything to anyone. Chapter 1: The Greatest Salesman in the World. Before Joe Girard became the world's greatest salesman, he was not a success story. He grew up poor, faced rejection, and even got fired from his first few jobs. But one day, something changed. He realized that success in sales is not about luck or talent. It is about creating opportunities by understanding people's emotions. Joe's story begins in Detroit, where he worked as a car salesman. At first, he was just another face in the dealership, no experience, no customers, no leads. But Joe had one thing most others ignored: a deep respect for every person who walked through the door. He believed that everyone deserves to be treated like a friend, not a sale. He would greet people with warmth, remember their names, send them birthday cards, and even call to check how their car was doing. To Joe, these were not tactics, they were genuine acts of care, and that authenticity built what no money could buy: trust. Within a few years, Joe Girard was selling more cars than entire dealerships. He earned a place in the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's greatest retail salesman, selling an average of 6 cars a day. His secret: he treated everyone as if they already mattered. He once said, "The key to success in selling is giving people a reason to like you before you ever ask them to buy." But Joe's story does not stop with friendship and trust. In the next chapter, he reveals how anyone, even someone with no experience, can learn to sell anything simply by believing in themselves. Because when you start seeing yourself as valuable, others will too. Chapter 2: You Can Sell Anything. Joe Girard believed that anyone can sell anything, not because they are born talented, but because they learn how people think. Have you ever wondered why some people naturally attract others? It is because they know how to make people feel understood. This chapter reveals how Joe trained his mind to see opportunity in every person and every situation. Selling begins with belief, not in the product, but in yourself. Joe said, "If you do not believe in you, why should anyone else?" He understood that salespeople lose before they start, when they doubt their own worth. He created a habit of confidence. Before every workday, Joe looked in the mirror and reminded himself, "I am the best at what I do. People are lucky to work with me because I care about them." It was not arrogance, it was conditioning. Joe treated every encounter as a potential sale, even outside the dealership. At the grocery store, in the park, or at church, he never saw people as strangers, but as possible future friends and customers. He gave his business card to everyone with a smile, not as a pitch, but as a connection. Soon, word of mouth became his strongest weapon. People trusted him because he made them feel valued, not targeted. This is why Joe said, "Selling is not about closing deals. It is about opening relationships." But Joe knew that confidence and connection were not enough. To truly win hearts, you have to go deeper, you have to make people like you. In the next chapter, Joe reveals the secret of turning total strangers into loyal friends who keep buying from you again and again. Chapter 3: How to Turn People into Friends. Imagine if every customer you met became your friend. Would you ever run out of sales? Joe Girard's success came from one simple truth: people buy from people they like. This chapter teaches how to make anyone feel special, respected, and emotionally connected to you. Joe's first rule: always act like you are already friends. He greeted everyone with a smile, used their names, and found something personal to compliment, not to manipulate, but to create warmth. When people felt at ease, their walls came down. He paid attention to small details: birthdays, anniversaries, or even a customer's child's name. He sent handwritten cards that said, "I like you." It might sound simple, but that card became Joe's secret weapon. People framed it, talked about it, and remembered him. Joe believed that the biggest mistake most salespeople make is chasing sales instead of relationships. He said, "Stop trying to sell and start trying to help. The sale will come by itself." Every friend Joe made turned into multiple customers because friends referred their friends. He built a network of loyalty, not transactions. But Joe also knew that friendship alone would not bring success if you lacked one key ingredient: confidence. In the next chapter, he explains how to build unshakable self-belief so that you walk, talk, and sell like a winner, even when life tries to break you. Chapter 4: How to build confidence. Every great salesman begins with one essential tool: not a product, not a pitch, but confidence. Joe Girard often said, "If you do not feel like a winner inside, no one will ever buy from you." But how do you build confidence when life keeps knocking you down? This chapter reveals how Joe trained himself to rise above rejection, doubt, and fear and became unstoppable. Joe's early life was filled with failure. He was fired, broke, and even told he would never succeed. But instead of giving up, he made a decision to see every failure as training. He realized confidence is not something you are born with. It is something you build by surviving challenges. He practiced positive self-talk every morning. Before meeting customers, he would stand tall, smile, and repeat affirmations like, "I can handle anything today, and people love working with me because I care." Joe also believed that confidence comes from preparation. He learned everything about his products, studied his customers, and practiced every possible question they could ask. When you know your subject deeply, you sell without fear. He avoided negative people who drained his energy. Joe said, "You cannot fly with eagles if you hang around with turkeys." He surrounded himself with positivity people who lifted his mindset instead of feeding his doubts. But Joe knew that confidence alone would not bring success if you looked careless. He discovered that your first impression speaks before you do. In the next chapter, he reveals how to use your appearance not as vanity but as a powerful tool to earn instant respect and trust. Chapter 5: How to dress for success. Before Joe Girard said a single word, he had already made a sale with his appearance. He knew that people judge in seconds, and their first impression often decides the outcome. This chapter teaches why dressing well is not about fashion, but about communication. Joe said, "When you walk into a room, you are already selling something yourself." He believed that neatness, grooming, and style tell people one thing: "I respect myself and I respect you." He always wore clean, polished shoes and a tailored suit. But more than clothes, it was his attitude that made him stand out: confident posture, warm smile, and calm tone. These small things made customers feel they were dealing with a professional they could trust. Joe also understood that dressing for success means matching your appearance to your audience. If his customers were middle class families, he dressed smart but approachable. If they were business executives, he dressed sharper and more formal. He adapted without pretending. He was always himself, just at his best. He said, "When you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you sell better." That energy is contagious. It tells people you care enough to show up prepared. But looking successful means nothing if your attitude does not match. In the next chapter, Joe reveals the mindset that made him unbreakable: the power of a positive attitude that turns problems into opportunities. Chapter 6: How to develop a positive attitude. Every day, we meet people who complain about everything: their job, their luck, their life. Joe Girard believed that attitude separates the winners from the quitters. He said, "A positive attitude is the engine that drives every sale." But positivity is not pretending to be happy. It is training your mind to see possibilities when others see problems. Joe's mornings always started with gratitude. Before leaving his house, he would look at himself in the mirror and say, "Joe, today you are going to help people and make them happy." That sentence alone shifted his entire mood. He avoided gossip and negativity inside his dealership. When other salesmen complained about slow business, Joe was making calls, writing thank you notes, and planning for tomorrow's sales. He believed energy attracts energy. When you radiate positivity, people naturally want to be around you. One of Joe's strongest habits was to treat rejection with humor instead of feeling defeated. When a customer said no, he would smile and say, "That is fine, maybe next time." This calm confidence surprised people and often made them return later to buy. Joe also practiced emotional discipline. He never let anger or frustration show in front of clients. He said, "When you stay calm, you stay in control. When you lose your temper, you lose the sale." For Joe, positivity was not luck. It was a daily decision to think, speak, and act in a way that invited success. But even the most positive person faces rejection. The real test of a salesman is not how they act when things go well, but how they bounce back when things fall apart. In the next chapter, Joe shares his powerful strategies to turn rejection into motivation and keep selling no matter what. Chapter 7: How to Overcome Rejection. Rejection is every salesperson's nightmare. Most people fear hearing no so much that they stop trying. Joe Girard faced rejection more times than he could count, but he turned it into his greatest teacher. This chapter reveals how Joe built emotional armor strong enough to handle any no and still walk away smiling. Joe used to say, "Every no gets you closer to a yes." He did not take rejection personally because he understood one truth: the customer is not rejecting you, they are rejecting the timing or the product. He learned to ask himself after every rejection, "What can I learn from this?" If the customer said no, maybe it was because they did not trust him enough yet, or maybe he spoke too fast. Instead of blaming them, he improved his approach. Joe also prepared himself mentally before every sales day. He expected to hear no several times that way. It never shocked him. He trained his mind to respond calmly, as if rejection was part of the game, because it was. He built what he called rejection muscle. Just like lifting weights makes you stronger physically, facing rejection makes you stronger mentally. Over time, he became fearless. Joe said, "Most salespeople quit after 5 rejections. The winners are the ones who stay long enough to meet the 6th person, the one who says yes." But Joe knew that even courage and persistence were not enough. To win the sale, you must know exactly when and how to close it without pressure or fear. In the next chapter, he reveals the art of closing, the most important skill every successful salesperson must master. Chapter 8: How to Close the Sale. Every conversation has one crucial moment, the point where talk must turn into action. Joe Girard called it the close. Many salespeople fear that moment, worrying they will sound pushy or desperate. But Joe mastered the art of closing naturally with trust, timing, and confidence. This chapter reveals how he made people say yes without ever feeling pressured. Joe believed that closing begins long before the final question. It starts the moment you build a connection. When people like you, trust you, and feel understood, the close becomes effortless. He followed one golden rule: never ask for the sale, lead them to it. Instead of asking, "Do you want to buy this car?" he said, "Would you like to take this beauty home today or tomorrow?" That small shift in words made a huge difference. It assumed the sale was already happening. Joe always read people's emotions carefully. If a customer hesitated, he did not argue. He calmly addressed their fears about price, quality, or timing until they felt secure. He believed the customer is not afraid of the product. They are afraid of making the wrong decision. He used stories and real examples to build confidence. He showed them how other happy customers made the same choice and were glad they did. By the time the paperwork came out, the customer already trusted him, not because he pushed them, but because he guided them. But Joe's genius did not stop at closing the sale. He understood that the real business begins after the sale, when customers return again and again. In the next chapter, he reveals how to keep customers loyal for life and turn one sale into many. Chapter 9. How to make the customer come back. Most salespeople celebrate after one sale and move on. Joe Girard celebrated by building a relationship that never ended. He said, "A satisfied customer is your best salesman." This chapter teaches how Joe created lifelong loyalty so that his customers kept returning year after year, bringing their friends and family with them. After every sale, Joe never disappeared. He made sure his customers felt remembered. He sent thank you cards, birthday wishes, and even small notes saying, "I like you." No one else did this, and that made Joe unforgettable. He treated his customers like family. When their car needed service, he checked in. When they came back to trade or upgrade, he made them feel at home. He understood that people do not return because of discounts, they return because of how you make them feel. Joe also knew that consistency builds trust. Every month, he mailed hundreds of cards just to remind people he cared. It was not about selling. It was about staying connected, and when someone needed a car, they always thought of Joe first. This simple act of appreciation turned into a powerful business strategy. Most of his sales came from repeat customers and referrals, not new ones. He once said, "If you take care of people after the sale, you will never have to chase new ones again." But Joe did not stop there. He turned those happy customers into a living sales force, a powerful referral network that kept his business thriving. In the next chapter, Joe shares how you can make your customers sell for you without spending a single dollar on advertising. Chapter 10. Building a referral machine, turning clients into your sales army. Joe Girard's greatest secret was not in closing, it was in multiplying. He understood that one happy customer is not a sale. It is a seed. Think about it. When was the last time you bought something expensive without consulting someone? People trust people more than any ad, pitch, or promise. Joe leveraged this human truth into his greatest advantage. Referrals. He made sure every client left not just satisfied but eager to tell others. He called it planting the referral tree. Every handshake, every thank you letter, every follow-up, it was all part of building this living network of advocates. Here's the trick most salespeople miss. They assume a good product sells itself. Joe knew better. Even great products die without advocacy. He built systems, not luck. He sent personal notes on birthdays, remembered children's names, and made every customer feel like the only one that mattered. It was not manipulation. It was memory plus meaning. One day, a client of Joe's said, "I gave your name to my brother." Joe smiled and said, "Thank you. You just helped me feed my family." That line, so raw and human, became his signature. It showed sincerity, not desperation. And that sincerity turned his clients into unstoppable marketers. By the end of his career, Joe had over 250 repeat customers and a mountain of referrals that made him untouchable. Now, here is the teaser. Joe's next move took referrals and turned them into an empire. He did something no one else had the courage to do, something that broke every rule of traditional sales. And it all started with a single risky idea: stay with me. Because what comes next changes the entire game. Chapter 11. The Girard Way, selling yourself before you sell anything. Joe Girard's ultimate lesson. You are not selling a car, a service, or an idea. You are selling yourself, because people do not buy from companies. They buy from confidence. They buy from trust. They buy from you. Joe used to say, if they like you and believe you, they'll buy. If they don't, no discount will save you. This final chapter is about mastering the art of personal credibility. Your clothes, your words, your tone, your follow-up, your memory, every detail is your personal brand. He made people feel safe when buying from him. That's the real secret weapon: emotional security. When customers feel they cannot be cheated or ignored, they commit faster and deeper. Joe lived with integrity. He delivered on promises even when it cost him. He called angry customers personally. He never hid behind excuses. The result: his name became a brand of honesty, and that is why the Guinness Book of Records named him the world's greatest salesman. The key takeaway is not the number of cars he sold, it is the number of lives he changed through trust. Final thoughts. Selling is not about persuasion, it is about transformation. It is about turning "I do not know you" into "I trust you." Joe Girard's philosophy reminds us that the best salesperson is not a talker, it is a listener. Not a manipulator, but a mirror who reflects what people truly need. So, if you want to sell anything to anyone, start here. Sell yourself with honesty. Sell your product with belief. Sell your relationship with care. Because when people believe you, they will believe anything you sell. If this summary inspired you to think differently about selling, imagine what mastering these principles could do for your life and career. Subscribe to the channel for more book summaries that transform your mindset and money game. Comment below, what is the hardest part of selling for you, confidence or connection? And remember, success is not sold. It is earned one relationship at a time.